that the 2.4 billion Christians on earth are not welcome.
So the only thing being disrespected here is a competent grasp of culture. Because this outrage, whether it's real or feigned, is phenomenally hypocritical and misplaced, because this isn't about the Last Supper. But even if it were, there's nothing wrong with using imagery from a famous piece of art to offer some social commentary. As Jesus would have eaten with drag queens, they're allowed to say, hey, we have a seat at this table as well. And there would have been the same hypocrites out front gnashing their teeth at them the whole time too. And even if it is intended to be a critique, or heaven forbid, mockery, you don't get to spend so much time and effort trying to convince the world that everybody's part of a Christian culture, that Western civilization was built by Christianity, that is the foundation of our art and architecture and literature and law and everything, and then turn around and try to police who's allowed to critique it and which critiques are allowed. If they were born and raised in that culture, then that's their culture too. So, irrespective of what was intended here, trying to demonize and vilify these folks just so you can be persecuted, so you can feel like you're in the last days, so you can read yourself into the book of Revelation, is phenomenally harmful and hypocritical, and you need to do better. And the fit for this video has been Wolverine.
And Dan is absolutely correct in everything that he had just said. So, since Christianity, ever since 381, when Theodosius II implemented Christianity as the religion of the Roman Empire, Christianity has been on a march to define our Western civilization and Western culture, which has become the most dominant culture in the world today. Through colonization, through war, through conquering, Christianity and the Christian mindset has been the dominant culture throughout the world, followed secondly by Islamic culture. Now you have small sects of people who, when they get their opportunity to demonstrate their aspect of culture, who have grown up in these Western cultures, it all of a sudden becomes an attack on Christianity. Videos that I make myself, which in the grand scheme of things is not even a drop in the ocean, is seen as an attack on the status quo of Christianity when Christianity looms so large. And Christians get all wrapped up into their feelings concerning it and are ready to boycott this, boycott that, pull out of this, pull out of that, claim everything to be something of the demonic state, and that Christians are going to be persecuted because, like Dan said, they're trying to read themselves into Revelations, where Christians are supposedly going to be persecuted for not accepting the mark of the beast and worshiping the beast who suffers this head injury and then is miraculously revived. But nowhere in our world today is there any indication where en masse Christians are being persecuted. But they like to latch on to everything so that they can make themselves part of Revelation, which Revelations was actually John of Patmos writing concerning what his thoughts were on Nero returning back and retaking the Roman Empire, and at that point persecuting Christians when Christianity was still at pretty much an infancy state and was easily persecuted by the Romans. This is not true today. This has not been true for an incredibly long time. But at every generation, Christians have tried to make themselves out to be this victim. And in one way that they do that is try to safeguard the fact that anything that comes out in media, anything that a person does, any other type of worship is so wrong and is an attack on Christianity. I saw a couple of years ago when a Buddhist temple was being built next door to a person's house, and then there was a church after that. The church and the person tried to do everything in their power to stop the Buddhist temple from being built and tried to take the land away from those people who legitimately bought that land, because they felt that it was an affront to their Christianity that these Buddhists would have the audacity to move in next to them. And it's not just in the Olympics. Since he wore the Wolverine shirt, I want you to recognize this video as well. Now in that video, I'm not sure if the volume came out right as I'm making this. I won't know till after this is done. But that couple went to see the Deadpool 3 movie, which was called Deadpool and Wolverine. Now, me being a big Marvel comic book fan, of course I went to see the movie as well. And so I have to assume that the part that she's talking about, the blasphemy within the first 25 minutes, was the fact that Deadpool said that he is the Marvel Jesus. And he kept referring to himself as the Marvel Jesus throughout the entirety of the movie. And if you know the character Deadpool, he makes fourth wall breaks. He knows that he's in a movie. He knows that he's a make-believe character. And he makes jokes about the writers and other aspects of the movie. He makes jokes about the Fox cinematic universe and so on and so forth. So he was calling himself the Marvel Jesus because he was going to save Marvel, because Marvel has been going through a bad time in their movies where they haven't been making as much money. But here's my question to that couple. If you watch Deadpool 1 and 2, let's say you're not a comic book nerd like me, but you watched Deadpool 1 and 2, you know the type of language that is used. You know the type of innuendos that they don't even make innuendos. They just say straight stuff like pegging and demonstrated it and the whole deal. But you know the whole deal of Deadpool. Yet now you find offense with Deadpool because he's mocking your God by saying he's the Marvel Jesus. You had no problems with Deadpool in the first two movies where he's being pegged on Woman's Day. In the first movie, where they're killing people, he's cursing, they're doing drugs, they're doing all these other things that any other Christian would say that you're supposed to abstain from. You know, the whole pluck your eye out, cut your arm off, cut your tongue out, all those kinds of things. You had no problems with all the other Deadpool stuff. But because they made that reference, all of a sudden, you got to get up in the theater and leave after 25 minutes because it offends your level of Christianity. And I call you a hypocrite on that because if you watch 1 or 2, then you should have been someone who says that I'm not seeing that movie at all. I refuse to watch it at all because it's an affront to your sensibility of morality because of all the things that they glorify and talk about in that movie. But that is the basic Christian hypocrisy. And let me show you this. This is a mockery of your Christianity. This is a mockery of your Christianity. And this is a mockery of your Christianity. But yet, if you are a Trump supporter, you would have absolutely no problem with Trump being portrayed as Jesus on multiple accounts, or Trump walking on water with Jesus, or any other indication of Trump in a positive Jesus-like light. You wouldn't have any problems with it because it fits your narrative. You see, Christians are they only feel disrespected when something invades the narrative that they desire to have. And most of the time, Christians are walking around telling everybody else that their religion is wrong, that they believe in a false God, that there's only one true God, and that they, no matter what that other person believes, is going to hell. And they push out narratives that don't fit when it's reflected back at them. Because the whole idea of Pascal's wager is that if I believe in Christianity, I go to heaven. If I don't believe in Christianity, then it doesn't matter. I lose nothing. But they will not recognize that if you believe in Christianity, but the Zoroastrians who came before Christianity are right, then you will go to Zoroastrian hell and be with Ahura Mazda, right? Agramenian. Sorry, Ahura Mazda is their Jesus character. You'll be with Agramenian. If you are wrong and the Indus is right, since Indus came before the Christian religion, then you return back in a lower caste and you have to work your way up to satisfy your dharma so that you can go to the higher caste and then you can enter heaven and nirvana with Brahma. If they're right, then you keep returning back to earth until you get it right. So Pascal's wager doesn't work, but they're only offended when it doesn't fit their narrative. And they should think about that. So always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.